All right, good evening. I'm going to talk to you a little bit about achieving classroom excellence. It was legislation that was passed back in 2005. It was revised again in 06, 08, 09, and in 2010. And what this is, we call it ACE legislation, is any student who entered the ninth grade, who their first ninth grade year was in 2008, 2009, must pass a set of tests, standardized tests, in order to receive a high school diploma, regardless of whether they have passed the class or not. Okay, they still have to pass the class, but even if they do pass the class and don't pass the test, they can't receive a high school diploma. This is legislation that was passed, again, by the state of Oklahoma. This is not a union policy, but we are subject to that. All Oklahoma public schools must certify that any student who receives a high school diploma, starting with basically this junior class, okay, has to pass 4 of 7 tests. They have to pass the Algebra 1 and English 2, which is they take their 10th grade year. Okay, in Algebra 1, most of our students take their freshman year. Those 2 are required. They must pass those 2 tests. And then we have 4 other tests that they can choose 2 of those, or they need to pass at least 2 of those. And that's going to be Algebra 2, it's going to be Geometry, Biology, and their English 3 or 11th grade English class. If they pass 2 of those remaining 4 tests, then they've met the ACE requirement. There are some modifications. Students with who have special needs, there are modifications, but there's not an exemption. All students have to meet what is laid out in the law before we can issue a high school diploma. So students with special needs, their test may be modified, they may take a different test, but they still have to meet the same requirement as all other students in the state of Oklahoma. There are other options. If a student does not pass a test, we are going to remediate that student, but also there are alternate tests that can be used to satisfy that requirement. One of the big ones that we give in 10th grade is our PLAN test. It's done through ACT. It's kind of a pre-ACT test. Scores from that can help satisfy the Algebra 1 and Biology test for their EOIs. If they didn't pass that, but they achieved a certain score on the PLAN, we can certify them as passing the ACE requirement for Algebra 1 and Biology. So there are some alternates that go with that. Other alternate tests can be the ACT. A lot of the juniors right now are preparing to take the ACT. You score within a certain range on that ACT, that can satisfy some of the requirements for the EOIs if you have not passed your EOI test. We are looking right now as implementing us as a test site for work keys, which is again an ACT type test that allows us to give alternate tests almost at any time for our students who have not passed their EOIs. These tests are given, the regular EOI tests are given every spring, winter, and summer. So basically you're looking at May, you're looking at June and July as another testing window, and then again, November, December is another testing window. If a student has not passed an EOI, they can retake that EOI in any of those testing windows again. Okay, they up to as many times as they want within, each testing window as they proceed through school. Big issue for a lot of parents have been students who have transferred to us from out of state or who have transferred to us from a private school. Okay, the law still applies to those students as well. Oklahoma gives us a list of tests that other states give that can meet the requirement if the student scored at a certain level on their previous state's test. Private school students, they have the option of meeting the requirement through the ACT or through some other alternate test without taking the EOI first, but they're also more than welcome to take the EOI to meet the requirement as well. But they still have to meet the same ACE requirement as any student in the state of Oklahoma. Many of your students, if you look at the sheet that you were given when you came in, you can see it tells you what test they have passed, whether they have not passed that test, whether they have a no score, which means we don't have a score for them yet on that test, or if they're enrolled in that class and haven't taken the test yet. We have several students who have met most of the requirement, but they haven't actually even taken 4 tests yet. So they'll take tests this spring for those classes they're enrolled in, and by passing those tests at the end of this year, that would meet that requirement. I want to get that kind of information to you so you can talk with your child and say and express how important these tests are, that it's not something you're just taking and it doesn't matter. It actually matters for their graduation. Some of the things that we're going to be doing through remediation and through our testing, we have remediation classes right now going on within our school. Some of the students were enrolled in that remediation class. They're receiving basically a semester's worth of instruction in that testing area that they did not pass in order to retake that test in the spring. We are beginning, starting next week, with after-school remediation. And with that after-school remediation, we also plan on offering transportation. If a student can't, he rides the bus home, we're going to offer a later bus route that goes out to our elementary schools to get that student back home. So that shouldn't be a barrier for a student attending our after-school remediation. We also have some of our classes that students are enrolled in are remediating as they go. We have some students who are in geometry that are going to take the test, but some who are in geometry that actually did not pass the test the first time. So they're getting remediated within a regular class. We're also going to have some intensive summer remediation, and we will give that to those students that are in need of that when we get that plan solidified and know the dates and the times, and allow those students to come in for remediation and test at the very end of that remediation in hopes to satisfy their requirement. I already mentioned the Work Keys test, and then there's a portfolio project the state of Oklahoma has designed for those students who have not passed the EOIs at least twice. They can take a portfolio project, and it is kind of a work product that they do on their own. It's very, very well laid out. It takes a little time to do the project. They submit the project to us. It's graded by a committee, and then based on how that's graded on the state rubric, they will either have met the requirement or not have met the requirement based on the project. So some students, testing isn't their thing. They're very good at their subject. It's just those tests, they may have a block of taking that test. So we have that project available, and that's coming soon. We're getting more information from the state. Those have just come out, so we're gathering that information, and we'll provide that to students who we think, that might be the way to go to meet the ACE requirement. I will be outside after, and all the administrators and counselors will be outside at the end of our entire presentation. If you have questions regarding EOIs, regarding remediation, don't hesitate to ask their counselor, hesitate to ask one of the principals. We'll give you all the information that you need on that. And again, the sheet that I give you kind of spells that out as where your student is in regards to those graduation requirements. I'm going to let Mr. Federline take over, and he's going to talk to you about some of our intervention programs.
First of all, thank you so much for being here tonight. The weather wasn't exactly as cooperative as we had hoped it would be. You're going to hear an awful lot of information tonight about our EOIs, about our remediation, about our interventions, about GPA and credits. It can be very confusing. I hope that the message you walk out of here with is that this staff of people and our unbelievably dedicated teachers and counselors truly and deeply care about your student success. We know that we are in a very rapidly changing world, and we are urging all of our students to work hard every day, to be here every day. Our goal is 100% college and career ready for every single student that walks through these doors. We don't give up on any kid, and the things that we are putting in place right now are going to help every single child to be successful. Mr. Morris talked to you a little bit about remediation. Remediation is something that we want to get rid of eventually. It's an emergency measure to use on kids that have failed. They're failed learners. They've had the time, they've had the instruction, they still can't pass the test. What we want to move towards is intervention. Intervention is a quicker response. It's while the student is taking a particular class. There's 6 good factors of it that we are working very hard to make sure that our interventions meet all these 6 factors. First of all, it has to be systematic. It has to be system-wide, not only in this building, but in every building. It has to be urgent. This is an area that we have lacked in the past, or we wouldn't have the need for the remediation. When a child is struggling, when there's a 0, when there's a failing grade, even 1, we need to urgently address that issue. It must be directive. That child has got to be sometimes forced to go to where we need them to go, to a classroom, with a teacher, to get some directive instruction. It's got to be targeted specifically to the child and to the objective. It's got to be very timely. It's got to be while they're taking it. And most of all, it's got to be administered by a trained professional. We are going to experiment with something next week where we are going to use a time period right before our lunch, where any student in this school that has a D or an F or has 1 or 2 zeros, they are going to be directed into a classroom with their teacher. The teachers are currently drafting them as we speak, and they are going to get a little extra time and a little bit of extra instruction. We know that not every single kid here learns the exact same thing in the exact same way at the exact same time. We've got to be flexible enough in our timing to let kids have that additional instruction and that additional time with a highly qualified teacher, and we're going to be getting to that next week. Your students may have already talked about it a little bit. For 2011-2012, we are planning on building an intervention period into every day. This will be a period every day in which students that need extra help, whether they've got A's through F's, they can go to the teacher they need to go to and get that extra help, that extra time and instruction. All of you, I'm sure, are very willing to help your child at night when they need homework help. When they were younger, they say, hey, I need help with my math. You sat down with them for that one-on-one time. And that is the concept we've got to bring to the school day. So many of our kids have transportation issues and other issues. We've got to take advantage of the time while they're here. Students in good standing, those with A's, B's, students with no zeros, students that have passed all their EOIs, they'll receive full privileges, whatever that ends up looking like for next year, most likely centered around our off-campus lunch. That is a huge privilege for our kids that they really enjoy, and we want them to have to earn it through their grades and their academic standing. Teachers will be available to all kids during this intervention period. One of the problems that we have now is some teachers go to lunch, first lunch, second lunch, and oftentimes a kid can't meet up with their teacher during the day, and we're working very hard to change that. Please check all the social media, Facebook, our website, Twitter, for more information about our intervention period as we continue. I'm going to turn this over now to Ms. Vanyatis, our activities assistant principal, and she is going to talk about some of the great things that we have going on here at Union High School.
Good evening. So why should your student be involved in student activities? What if I could tell you that for a few hours a month, your child could develop meaningful relationships with peers and caring adults? They could gain marketable skills. They could learn to give back to the community and develop a passion for serving others. For these few hours a month, your student could develop skills such as responsibility and organization, as well as improve self-esteem. Activities help your students learn to prioritize the important things in life, as well as overall gain some very marketable skills. Activities help develop character, critical thinking, and social skills, and basically gain the necessary skills to grow into responsible adults. What parent wouldn't be thrilled to have these opportunities for their children? Repeated studies have shown us that these and many more benefits can be derived from involvement in co-curricular activities. And of course, in this we include everything: athletics, the arts, as well as clubs and organizations. Studies also show us that there are many academic benefits to being involved in your school. They show us that students who are involved have higher GPAs, better attendance, lower dropout rates, and fewer discipline issues. So how can your student get involved? First of all, at the high school, we have a very wide variety of athletics and art opportunities. In addition, you can see here that there are countless clubs and organizations in which your student could be involved. At the start of each school year, we have what we call a rush week, which allows our clubs to set up like a job fair in our commons. And each day they talk with the students about their organizations and the opportunities and the membership requirements. I also would invite you to stop by the activities office. We call ourselves One-Stop Shopping. We'd love to be your first place to stop if you have questions about anything we offer or student services in general. We'd like to be your first place to stop, because if we can't answer your question, we can find you someone who can. And also, I see in front of me quite a large number of parent chaperones. I know that you'd love to come and help chaperone some of your student events. We'd invite you to be a part of what we do. As a matter of fact, starting with prom or reggae fest or some of the activities that we have left for the spring, we highly encourage parent involvement and would love to have you here with us. So we consider it our goal to partner with you to develop your student into a responsible, caring, and capable adult. Please let us know how we can help you. Thank you. Now, Mr. Tempest.
Again, I want to thank you guys for coming tonight. It's probably too dark and a little too rainy to see, but the construction, the expansion of the high school has started, which makes it an extremely exciting time here on campus. With that said, there are some challenges that come with it, and the first being our parking. Our north lot, the majority of it's been closed for some time now. There still is a few spaces out there, but the students have been accustomed to start parking in the south lot. With that said, there's only so many front row spots, so they need to make sure and give themselves a little more time coming to school or returning from lunch. That can't be excuse not to get to class on time, but there's plenty of spaces out there, and they're actually making more spaces right now as well. The other issue with the construction is the travel patterns within the school. We've closed one of the stairwells in the North Commons, and the students have done a great job of maybe reworking their path to class with that. So there's all those, with the construction, there comes those things that we've worked with, and we have to continue to try to foresee and just be flexible with those. The next thing is our scheduling. Your son or daughter may have talked about our scheduling issues here. Not really issues, but again, being flexible. We've had our late start collaboration Fridays now for some time. We also have our union time on specific dates throughout the year. And as Mr. Federline mentioned, we'll be starting some intervention periods. So with all that goes different schedules that they have to work through. And then starting Monday, of course, we'll be going an extended 30 minutes to make up some of the lost time due to the days we were out for the snow. So with all that said, the kids have done a great job on those schedules, and I think our teachers do a good job of letting them know, when the next class starts. And it's not, the transition from first to second hour is not always that hard. It's the question they want to know is, when do I have to be back from lunch? Because those minutes change daily sometimes. But we've done a good job, and again, with the construction and with the different schedules, I think the key word on us and our faculty and also the student body, and they've done this already, but is just being flexible and working through these issues.
Good evening. I'm Lisa Witcher. I'm acting as an assistant principal for the high school this year, and have a great privilege in getting to do that because I get to talk to the students about going to college while they're in high school. With the passage of our recent bond issue, which we want to heartily thank you for, the Union Collegiate Academy is going to become an exciting reality. And we don't even have to wait until the building is completed. We have already started on our Collegiate Academy this year. Currently, we have over 300 enrollments in college, just over 270 students, sophomores through seniors, who are all taking college classes and earning college credit, and some of them earning dual credit or high school credit at the same time they're earning college credit. And that's just a wonderful experience to get to offer our students. We're so thankful to our partners with Tulsa Community College. In the fall, we will offer 9 Tulsa community courses here on the campus of Union High School. College readiness, or a preparatory course for college, will be offered at Union Intermediate High School for sophomores. TCC has very generously waived those tuition costs so that this comes to your student at a cost of $12.75 per course. And our Board of Education and our leadership in this district has decided that we'll use bond money to purchase the textbooks that your students would use in college. So if you remember your college experience and what we paid for tuition and what we paid for books, this is an incredible savings. Eligible students include those students who have taken the ACT. If your junior has not taken the ACT yet, or has not talked about taking the ACT yet, let me encourage you to contact one of our counselors or one of us. We can get you those dates. There's one approaching in April, a test date, and the deadline for signing up is March 4th. They do have an extended deadline from March 5th to the 18th, but it costs us a little extra money then, so perhaps meeting the March 4th deadline would be a good idea. We have to score a composite of 19 on the ACT to be eligible for these courses. Let me restate that just briefly. Taking the AC is a requirement. If the composite falls below a 19 and the student has a 2.5 GPA, that student still qualifies to take the course. He or she will need to have a 19 in the subject area of the course that they plan to take. For example, if they want to take Freshman Composition 1, their senior year, they would need to have a 19 in reading, subscore, and a 19 on the English part of the ACT. Their composite score might be an 18 or a 17, but if their GPA is above a 2.5, they would be eligible to take Freshman Composition 1, their senior year of high school. That course would be an equivalent to first semester of senior English, which is a requirement to graduate. So you can see that a student would earn college credit, 3 hours for freshman comp, and the first semester of high school English towards their high school graduation. There is an exception for a course that we call online college algebra. If your student is finishing Algebra 2 currently this semester, he or she might want to talk to his or her Algebra 2 teacher and see if he or she would be a great candidate for our Algebra 3 class. This class prepares our students with some trigonometry skills and some further algebra skills to take college algebra online. The great thing about this class is our high school teachers stay with them during the hour that they have class, but they receive instruction online from a TCC instructor. So again, they're receiving college credit on high school time, and they can receive an elective credit or a math credit if they need another math credit for graduation along with that. Here's a list of the courses that we're currently offering. We're in hopes by next fall to also offer another history course as well as a computer science course. We're still in talks about those courses, and we'll get that information to your students. On this chart, you can see the equivalency. Freshman Comp 1, I just want to reiterate, is a half of the English credit required for high school graduation. The students need to take Freshman Comp 2 or a semester of high school English in order to complete that whole senior year of English credit required for high school graduation. By the fall of 2012, our beautiful addition to this building will be open. And while we will still proudly call this campus Union High School, we will also refer to the program within it as the Union Collegiate Academy. It will serve sophomores, juniors, and seniors. Our 9th grade students will attend our new freshman or 9th grade center, And again, that college readiness course that we're offering to sophomores this year at the iHigh will come up here to the high school and be a part of our Union Collegiate Academy. We will graduate 100% of our students, and they will be workforce ready and college ready. And many of you know that those phrases are synonymous now. In order to be competitive in our global economy, we've got to have job skills, and we've got to have college skills. The Union Collegiate Academy is going to allow our students to maintain their connection to the rich tradition and the legacies that have been made available at Union High School for all these years, and the things that make us the proudest about being parents of Union Redskins. It allows students to earn dual credit, both college and high school credit at the same time. And it creates a unique experience where we can prepare our seniors for what the world of college is going to be like. The classes will be offered throughout the high school regular scheduled day. Students will be expected to attend college classes on Mondays, Tuesdays, and Thursdays. On Wednesdays and Fridays, for the first few weeks of class, we're going to ask that they meet with a certified professional just so we're sure they're handling the workload. Since these courses are both the beginning of the student's college transcript and the final courses that many of these students need for high school graduation, we want to make sure that they're successful. Students are allowed to take 2 classes each semester, and the professors from TCC will be the teachers of record. Students need to have a mature attitude about these college courses. They're going to be required to do a lot of independent study, some group work, some research. They can expect that there will be more reading involved with these college classes. However, their attendance and their eligibility are still governed by the Oklahoma State Department of Education and the Oklahoma Secondary Schools Activities Association. So all of those rules and regulations that they are under for high school will still apply to them in their college classes. I wanted to give you a couple of scenarios just so you can begin thinking about your student and what this opportunity might provide for him or for her. Consider a young lady by the name of Kelsey. She's interested in the health sciences field when she goes to college. Right now, she's taking on-level junior English, and she's a pre-calc student. Her concurrent schedule might look like this. First semester, or the fall semester, she could enroll in freshman composition and in psychology. Both of those courses are on the degree sheet in the health sciences field for OU, which is her school of choice. Her second semester, or spring classes, would include freshman Comp 2 and speech. Again, both of these courses are in the general education requirements of this degree at OU. So she could conceivably leave her senior year of high school with 12 hours of college credit. That's almost a semester. Josh is also a junior. However, instead of being in AP classes, in odd-level classes, he's an AP student. So his student schedule is going to look a little bit different if he takes advantage of the AP tests, because those AP tests allow him to earn college credit for a requisite score. His fall semester, he would take the psychology and speech classes that are on the degree sheet, because he's also interested in health sciences. But in the spring, he would take American Federal Government and food and nutrition. Likely he's not a candidate for freshman composition because his AP courses are going to meet that requirement. He would take senior English, hopefully in an AP class, and finish his AP career at Union High School. This is an incredible opportunity, one that I think we owe a great deal of gratitude to the leadership of Union, to their vision of what we can offer as public education institution, partnering with higher ed so that our students continue to get the very best that a quality public education can offer. Thank you so much for coming tonight, and before we dismiss, I think Mr. Stauffer has a few more words.
I want to say again how proud I am of our administrative staff, our counselors, our teachers, and everybody involved here at the high school, because we have, first of all, we gave you a lot of information in a short amount of time, but one commonality, one thread that we all have is we want your student to be successful. And you saw up earlier 100% graduation, 100% college and career ready. That's a very lofty goal, and we jokingly say sometimes, how about 97% or maybe 98%? But we really mean 100%, and that is our goal, is that every single student that goes to school at Union High School will be successful enough to graduate from this high school as well as move on into the next level of their education or into the next level of their job field, whatever it's going to be. And I'm very proud to say we have some tremendous people who are working, spending literally thousands of hours a year off of this campus on their own time preparing for that particular goal. and I'm very, very proud of that fact. So we will continue to work toward that goal, regardless of what it looks like, regardless of what pitfalls we may think we find. And again, we're going to continue to work toward that. If you have any individual questions, come see us. Otherwise, give us a call, give your counselor a call. We want to take care of you kids. Thank you for being here tonight. And again, thank you for being here. We'll see you soon.